What's going on, everyone? Mac and I are back with Instant Replay. I know personally we've been waiting for this one a long time. It is the Toronto Blue Jays and MLB season preview. Mac, it's been a long off season, a tough, disappointing end to the last Toronto Blue Jays season, but we've got new hope, got a pretty relatively new team to talk about. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about the roster. We have some yes or no questions we're going to get into, and then we're just going to have a general MLB overview with some predictions for the AL and NL MVP and Cy Young Award winners. Finally, we'll give you our World Series predictions. So let's get right into it. All right, we're going to talk about the roster. First, you and I have had a little bit of a discussion about this. So the Jays, obviously, 25-man roster has yet to be announced. I'm going to say yesterday at around noon, I had pretty much a sense of the 24, the 25 guys that were going to be taken for the team, and then they kind of just dropped the ball with the signing of Jesus Montero off the waiver wire. Now we've got Marco Estrada going on the DL. Aaron Loop is up in the air. So a lot has changed in the past 24 hours. The way I got it, we've got 21 guarantees for the lineup. So this is Stroman. Actually, sorry, 20 guarantees with Estrada no longer in the mix for the opening day roster. He'll start the season on the DL. So I've got Stroman, Dickey, Happ, Sanchez, Osuna, Storen, Cecil, Chavez, and Floyd as your guaranteed pitchers. So we got 4 starters and then 5 relievers. One of those relievers, Chavez or Floyd, will probably end up moving into the rotation with Estrada starting the year on the DL. In terms of players, you got Martin, Colabello, Smoke, Goins, Tulo, Donaldson, Saunders, Pilar, Batista, Darwin Barney, and Edwin Encarnacion. Those make up our guarantees. I don't think there's a whole lot of surprise there. Those are the guys that going into spring training we knew were going to be there. It was just kind of in terms of the pitching, it was going to be where they were, whether or not they were starters or relievers. But I think we figured that those 20 guys are the guaranteed players to be on the roster. Next, a little bit of probables. Pat Van Dyke, the ambidextrous pitcher, been really cool to watch him in spring training. I've got him on my roster. Aaron Loop probably will not start the season with the team, but I do expect him to be on the roster. I don't think he's out long enough that they'll put him on the DL. I think maybe 3 or 4 games into the season you'll see him ready to pitch. So anyways, Estrada to the DL kind of has a bit of a concern for the start of the year. Mac, how do you see it kind of going down? What do you think happens to the rotation and then obviously the bullpen?
I don't see it as a concern at all.
No?
No. When you have, in the opening few weeks of the season, you always have enough off days that you can go with a 4-man rotation, no problem. I think they will do that. So. All
right. Yeah, no, that's fair. I'm going a little differently. I think you'll see Gavin Floyd move to the rotation, make at least 1 start there in Estrada's absence. I think at the beginning of the year, our arms aren't stretched out enough to roll with the 4-man. We'll see how Gibbons decides to play, but I think you'll see Floyd make at least 1 start, and that opens up room for who I think will be Ryan Tepera in the bullpen. I think you'll see him start out the year with the big club. So that kind of rounds out our pitchers. Any other comments on that? I can't really see anyone else getting in. Tepera is kind of that bubble guy for me right now.
Yeah.
And then we got positional battles. So that leaves 23 guys for us right now. Positional battles include the backup catcher role. Jays dropped a bomb on us yesterday. We thought Josh Tolley was going to be the backup catcher. Then they go out and sign Jesus Montero off the waiver wire from the Seattle Mariners. For those of you who don't know, Jesus Montero, predominantly first baseman now, was drafted as a catcher by the Yankees, was part of that Michael Pineda deal a couple of years back, was once considered a top prospect, really only played 1 full season of MLB baseball, but has decent numbers.
Got caught for steroids.
Yeah, but, I mean, he has some decent numbers throughout his MLB time.
Better than Josh Tolley.
Better than Josh Tolley. The problem is we need someone to catch that knuckleball. right? Which I think is kind of the concern we have, or at least I have. Normally, this is a no-brainer, Montero over Tolley, but because Tolley has that added element, it kind of makes this a battle.
I think people overdo that freaking knuckleball thing. If Montero wants to play in the major leagues, I think he'll learn how to catch a knuckleball.
Yeah, that's fair, but I think we've seen some of our catchers try to roll with that knuckleball, including Martin last year. He's one of the best defensive catchers in the game and could not figure it out to save his life.
Well, I don't think it's not bad.
He wasn't bad, but he wasn't not good enough for sure.
I don't how do you constitute putting in Josh Tolley for maybe one less pass ball every 5 games, considering the hitting that he gives you. He's not a over average, above average good defender either.
Well, I think
guy's a minor leaguer
for sure, but I think he's a lot better than that one pass ball. I remember early season a couple of years back, or Dickey's first start had at least 4 pass balls go by him, and in the course of a game, those 90 feet and those mean a lot, right? So I think I'm not saying that he should have a spot on the team. But I think the catching a knuckleball is actually it's an underrated quality. I really hope Montero tries to figure it out. We don't actually know if he's here to play catcher or not, because all the press releases from the Jays have said, okay, we've signed first baseman Jesus Montero. So I'm a little worried about that. I don't really understand why we need another first baseman with Colabello and Smoke over there. So I can't see this being anything other than a catcher.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we can't send him down.
No.
Well, this is the problem the Mariners had. You're not able to send him down. He's only got a one-way contract. So it's a problem. We either take him or we lose him. So I think that'll be interesting to see how Givens handles that in the team. But overall, I don't think... at the end of the day, it is a backup catcher's role. It's not going to have a huge impact on the team. But it would be nice to have someone like Montero back there. That's a pretty good backup catcher if you compare around the league.
I don't think it's. I don't think it should even be a question. I don't think Tolley's role on the team's justified.
All right. Yep, that's
simply
fair.
Put.
One thing I will say though is that I'm wondering if there's a Dickey trade in the mix. I know you've talked about for a long time that the team should trade Dickey. His value is actually not as bad as people think it is.
No.
I mean, he consistently puts up innings. He has he gets decent return, decent win totals. So he's not a terrible pitcher, but yeah, I would be surprised if there isn't at least talk with some teams about moving he and then therefore Josh Tolley. But you know what? It'll be interesting to see. Last one for the Jays, the backup outfielder role. I've actually been really, really impressed with Cisalani, and Gibbons has really seemed to like him. He seems to play him a lot, come up with some nice clutch hitting. I think at the beginning of the spring, once Pompey was sent down, it was kind of widely accepted that this role would be Carrera's. And to be honest, I think it still will, but it would not surprise me if Cisalani got in there as a backup catcher. He's played well enough to earn it.
Backup outfielder.
Sorry, backup outfielder, my bad. Can play center field, something that I'm not sure Carrera will overly be comfortable doing. Not that Pilar will miss a lot of time. I mean, you saw it last year.
Played over 150 games.
But anyways, I think overall, I think Carrera will end up getting it, but it's nice to know that we have depth behind him in the outfield if something goes wrong. I mean, obviously, Batista's got some injury concerns from past years, and we haven't actually seen Michael Saunders play in a Blue Jays uniform for really any extended period of time. So it's nice to know we have depth. Ultimately, I think it'll go to Carrera, but don't be surprised if Cisalani gets the nod. Any last comments on the roster? That's what I think the 25-man roster will be.
I don't know. Sleeper Junior Lake.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't mind him.
Yeah, no, another strong outfielder.
There's not much discrepancy between the three, I'd say.
No, for sure.
It's more or less a crapshoot. They've all been good in spring training, but it's spring training. So.
For sure. Yep, no, fair enough. All right, we're going to move on to some yes or no questions. This is a new segment we're going to try out. We'll see how it goes. Mac and I have these cards. I'm going to ask 3 questions, and we are going to answer yes or no. Neither of us know what the other one is going to pick, and hopefully we get some good discussion out of it. So let's go right into it. First of the three questions, the Toronto Blue Jays will win the AL East title this season. Mac, yes or no? What are you saying? Slowly but surely grabs the yes, and I am going to agree with him. Mac, justify your yes to me, please.
So basically all the question marks that we had coming into the spring have been filled with guys like Sanchez, Gavin Floyd, Pat Van Dyke, guys like that. Have basically filled up all the question marks we had going into the season. So now our pitching and our pitching depth of the bullpen now looks not like a weakness anymore.
No.
If Sanchez performs up to his potential, maybe even a strength.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So if you bring back the offense that we have, I think it's a no-brainer, and I think every other team in the AL East has more question marks than we have.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think going into spring training, my question was, where are we going to get wins from? Like you said, in the starting rotation. I mean, if you win 3 out of every 5 games, which is what your rotation hopes to do, you will win. I think it's around 95, 96 games. My question was, we go out, Stroman. We should expect a win every time Stroman goes out. I think he's good enough to warrant that. Obviously, he won't. But I think we should expect that. And the question becomes, where are we going to get the other 2 wins? And I think based on how we've looked, how we've seen these pitchers in spring training, especially Aaron Sanchez, I think those answers have been those questions have been answered. I think we're good enough to win, half of those games that Stroman doesn't pitch. So we'll see how it goes. But like you said, I think we're better than our competition in the AL East. I think we beat the Boston Red Sox in every facet of the game, especially with our revamped bullpen. We're trying to build like a Kansas City Royals bullpen. Obviously, no one can match our offense. So I think it's exciting. I think they will win the AL East. Last comments? No. All right, question number 2. Barring injury, Aaron Sanchez will become the second starter on this team. Yes or no? I'm going with another yes. Mac, you are going with a no. All right, I'm gonna start this one off. I mean, based on what we've seen so far in the spring, our best obviously Aaron Sanchez has been our best pitcher for sure. Maybe Stroman. Stroman's had a nice spring. There was an NL executive actually came out and said, and this was reported by one of the Blue Jays beat writers, that no one looked better in spring training across the entire league than Aaron Sanchez did, which I think says something. I mean, I know it's spring training, but yeah, I think he's pitched really, really well. I've been a little disappointed by Dickey and Happ so far. Obviously, we haven't seen Estrada a whole lot, so we don't really know what he brings this year. Obviously, he had a great year last year. We don't know how he's going to come back from this injury.
He might be our second most talented pitcher. I don't think he'll take over the number 2 slot in the rotation, though.
You think that's Estrada's to lose?
I don't think it's anyone's to lose. I just don't see why Sanchez, as a rookie, limited starting experience. I know Stroman has limited starting experience as well, but we're talking about a guy that you're just bringing into the league for the first full year of starting, hopefully. Right. Why would you give him that pressure of the second spot in the rotation? Okay. Also, why would you put 2 guys that are very similar in the terms of what they have, Stroman and Sanchez, back to back in the rotation? So when you could put some nice inconsistency in there by throwing in Estrada in between them, or Dickey.
Yeah. So you think he could become the second best starter? He just won't slot into that team. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. No, I can agree with that. Yeah, I think you and I have both been really impressed with what he's brought this spring.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on to question number 3. Josh Donaldson will suffer a letdown this year. Yes or no? Mac, I know you're super high on the bringer of rain. I'm going to go with no, he will not suffer a letdown at all. Mac, what do you think? I know I haven't really give you a whole lot of time to think about these questions. But right off the start, Mac, you are saying yes, he will suffer a letdown. Very interesting. I know you.
It's not a big letdown though.
No, that's.
But last year, pretty lofty standards.
That's true.
I don't think he could quite reach those. Maybe again in his career. I mean that a lot of things had to go right.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think
as hard as he plays, I'm not sure if he can be as successful in going through a full season again, injury free.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fair. He is a grinder.
Oh my God, he plays the game with such intensity that like, I mean, obviously he's not as enigmatic as Brett Laurie.
For sure.
But
there's
there's
the same
similarities.
Kind of passion. There's the same kind of passion.
There's similarities.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's fair. I think he won't suffer like you. I don't think he'll suffer a huge letdown if there is one. I don't.
Let me make it known though. It won't matter. It won't hurt the Jays' offense if he slips a little bit.
Yeah, no,
the fact you're bringing in Tulo for a full year, hopefully he's healthy, and the emergence of these other guys such as Pilar, Colabello, Goins, I think that along with another consistent season for Batista and Encarnacion, I think even if I can still see Donaldson hitting over 30 homers, over 100 RBIs. But reaching 40 and 125 again?
Yeah.
No. I don't see it, but I don't think it'll hurt the Jays offense.
Fair enough. I think
in general the Jays offense from last year was like historic. You can't exactly replicate that every year. But
right.
I think in terms of the Jays offense still being the best in the league, we were way beyond the best in the league last year. Maybe this year not so far beyond, but I still think we will be.
Yep, no, that's fair. I think I'm one of my bold predictions for the year is I think Donaldson will do well. Not a huge letdown if there is one, but I think at the end of the year, you will see Troy Tulowitzki on more MVP ballots than you do Josh Donaldson. He looks good. He looks pretty healthy. I mean, we had that problem with that knuckle, but I think that's fine. He's looked really, really solid. During spring training, I think he's comfortable with his new team. We know he can hit. We know he's an awesome defender. So anyways, that's my bold prediction. Tulowitzki will end up on more MVP ballots than Donaldson will this year. I think they'll both have great seasons, though. Anyways, let's move on to a general MLB overview. We're going to talk a little bit about the MVP awards and the Cy Young awards, just very, very briefly. We'll give you our predictions. AL MVP, let's start with that one. I've got a bit of a dark horse. Carlos Correa from the Houston Astros. I really liked what I saw from him last year. I know he's just coming in to his really first full season. But I think if you look at this Houston team is super exciting this year. They're playing in a very weak division. I think you and I have talked about. I think the Angels.
Texas is no slouch.
Well, Texas is no slouch, but I think the Angels will drop off. Seattle isn't going to be great. Oakland is going to be terrible. So I think the division will help. And I think he's a great player. Who do you think's gonna take it home?
I don't know. The AL's full of great position players like that. But one guy I wouldn't be surprised, Lorenzo Cain.
Yeah, for sure. From the Kansas City Royals, kind of a sleeper pick. There, we saw him obviously
improving offensively.
Yep, and we saw
along with his Gold Glove caliber defense
and that speed.
Definitely.
NL MVP, I've got Paul Goldschmidt from the Arizona Diamondbacks. I think that he's been a great player, great player, but I don't think he has played in a market that's going to garner much attention until this year.
I probably agree with that pick. Because if he continues to put up the numbers that he's put up the last 3 years, and he's doing that on a team that potentially could make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. No, for sure.
That would definitely give him more notoriety in an MVP race.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, let's move on to Cy Young. AL Cy Young. I've got Chris Sale winning. Obviously led the American League in strikeouts last year. I think he's going to increase that run support that he gets with the addition of Todd Frazier this year in Chicago. I still don't think they're going to be as good as everyone's saying they're going to be, but he's improved every year that he's pitched, and I think it's going to continue this year. I think he's finally going to get that AL Cy Young award. On the NL side, really, is there anyone you can pick besides Clayton Kershaw? I think obviously there are a lot of great pitchers in the NL these days, but he is the best. There's a reason that he's the first pitcher taken in every fantasy draft. Really, I can't see anyone taking that off him. One sleeper in the NL, though, I like Michael Wacha. He had a strong end to last season for the Cardinals. So watch out for him. I don't think he's going to win, but just watch out for him throughout the season. I think he could end up on some ballots by the end of the year. Thoughts?
AL Cy Young. I could see one of the two guys from Texas. I mean, I know Darvish is starting the season late, but Hamels and Darvish is a 1-2 combo in Texas.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty good.
They will. I think having both of them at the top of the rotation will take pressure off the other.
For sure.
And I think Hamels going to a new team. Obviously, he was there for a couple months last year, but new lease on life, getting out of the terrible situation in Philly there. But no, he was a Cy Young back a few years ago in Philly.
Yep.
They're both still young, and I don't see why either of them can't challenge for that. NL, Kershaw is the favorite for sure. Adam Wainwright, everybody's forgetting about.
True, coming off that injury.
Guy's always a stud. So.
Yep. Yeah, no, it'll. I know we're looking forward to the season. They're always great players, but this year I think especially there are a lot of stars that are going to kind of emerge, and obviously the general suspects you'll have. So it'll be a great season to follow these award races. Anyways, those are our picks. We're gonna finish off with a World Series prediction. I'm going with the Royals playing the Mets in the World Series. I got the Mets taking it home. I love that rotation. It pains me every time I see Syndergaard pitch as a Jays fan. But that rotation is awesome. Mac, thoughts?
I'm taking the Cubbies as my sure bet out of the
Cubbies.
NL. As my sure bet
Breaking
out of the NL.
the curse of the Billy Goat.
I'm not saying they might win the World Series this year, but
all right.
they'd be my sure bet out of the NL.
Yep.
And out of the AL.
AL's interesting.
AL's kind of a toss up, but I don't like KC going back again.
Interesting. They haven't really changed a whole lot of their team.
No, I know. But the Magic's got to run out. Baseball has so much parity at the top that any team can win in the playoffs.
All right, AL pick them.
Houston.
Going with the underdogs. That's
young team.
Young team, yep, for sure. I like them.
Both young teams.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
You could see a youth movement.
Anyways, that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed. Comment your predictions down below. We'd love to hear what you guys think. Anyways, that's it for us. Have a great week, and go Jays, go.